project-based approach, of course, right? That's our biggest thing, but I think it's just giving students an alternative pathway to graduation. Sitting in the classroom and having a teacher give you information that you write down, stick in your brain and take a test on doesn't work for every student. I think, when we started IDEA, we recognized that. So we did some investigating on other options that might be good, and this project-based approach is the one that really kind of struck us.
There's some core skills that if people have, they'll be successful anywhere. I mean, if you can come up with your own ideas and research those ideas and and communicate those ideas effectively and manage your time, problem solve. If you can do those things, you can pretty much be successful wherever you go.
Well, I think some of those issues of being big and getting lost in the midst of all the people is taken care of, and I think part of that is because we have a pretty strong focus on community in our school, being a part of the small school and contributing to it, taking part in some of the weird team building things that we do and things like that are something that we emphasize a lot with the students of our school. So I think that's one thing that we're able to address when a student has a problem at our school, either with another student or academically or even at home. They have a relationship with their advisor or one of the adults in the school that they feel pretty comfortable coming to, that they can get help with those issues. Where in a traditional environment, maybe I have a teacher my sophomore year that I really get along with and really like, but then I don't really see that teacher again my junior and senior year, and I've lost that relationship. And our students have the opportunity over 7 years to have, a pretty good relationship with the 4 people that work there.
Each subject is not its own unique thing. Like Mr. Derrickson is talking about that hoverboard project. The student is able to see how the tech ed, the science, and then even we always have a writing component to it. So they're doing all of those things together, where it's not just, okay, I'm working on this subject now for 45 minutes, and now I switch and I focus on this subject. It's that blending, which I really think helps students see the whole big picture and see how things fit together.
District-wide, we're in charge of DC Everest School District. I would look at other opportunities like that, not necessarily a project-based approach, but maybe a STEM approach where the science and technology, engineering, things that some students are really focused on and passionate about, looking at some of those things. And I do think that's the way education is trending, that there are pockets for students that they can find, shrinking buildings, so that it's not 1,200 kids running around a school, but 150 maybe, that's more manageable, relationships are different. I think that would help students a lot. It just costs a lot of money to do education that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the idea of that small environment, I think that can be a big draw for students. I think if they do have those passions, things they're really excited about doing, they can really explore those here very easily.
I mean, I could answer it in a lot of different ways. I think, off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to me is that, I want our students to have pursued things that they're passionate about, so that when they leave our school, they know what they like, they know what they're good at, and now they can kind of bring those two things together and go, when I leave here and I go to college or tech school or out in the working world, I want to do this because it's what I'm good at and it's what I like, and I can find that pathway.
Well, I mean, teamwork is one. I mean, communicating, both, like, they have to present every project, they have to have a paper for every project, so communication, researching, how to evaluate sources, how to problem solve, how to analyze the information that they're given and determine what's valid and what's not. And then just the skill to navigate that whole process, right? Because that takes a lot of organization, and it takes a lot of time management skills as well.
Things that we want to make sure they have. I mean, number one, we want to make sure they want to be there. We don't want mom or dad pushing them there because the traditional environment didn't work, but this is really where they want to go to school. We want them to enjoy learning. And I think that's, to have that curiosity is really important, right? Like, we make every kid in the country go to school. Not all kids are made for school, not all kids love school, but some kids love to learn. And I think in our school it's important because you're on your own, right? To an extent. You've got to figure out what it is that you love, what it is that you want to do. We're going to guide you, we're going to help you, we're going to advise you through those things, but you've got to have a passion for learning. That's important. And the other piece that I think we really ask students is you have to want to be a part of the community. Right? Again, we're not a 1,200 student school, we have 72 kids, so there's things that we do, there's things that we ask our students to do that maybe are going to make them uncomfortable because they got to, kind of get outside of their box and make them, feel a little bit strange sometimes, because we're trying to build that teamwork, trying to make everyone feel like, hey, we're all in this together. And so we want them to buy into that community feel that, I might have to do something that's going to make me look kind of silly one day, but guess what, tomorrow you're going to have to do the same thing, and we're all in this together. And generally speaking, those are the biggest things. If you want to be a student here, buy into those things, and you'll probably be pretty successful.
So we have Smartboard. This is one of the areas where if we're doing more direct teaching, where I might be lecturing on something, we'll do that here. Students also will do some work, if they're working in a group, they'll come over here if it's not being used by one of us. This is basically our lunch area. It's brought in from the middle school, and then they set it up here.
If you have a student that wants to do a project related to music, you asked about music before, some students will have done different projects. So we have some students that'll do the piano before school or after school to practice for solo and ensemble and things like that. So kind of a little music area that we have here.
Making a video game. So he set up this room for motion capture, and he did all the motions for the game in here and caught it. She was able to then animate in his video game, which is actually very cool and pretty impressive. So this is another area where we'll do some direct teaching, and we have, it's basically a big iPad, it's an aqua sport. And we'll do some teaching here when we're doing that. This is kind of our science area, so we have all our science equipment in these tables, there's some labs there. I mean, obviously we don't have a full lab, but this is what we have. And then kind of the last area, it's just our rec area. Before school, at lunch, after school, students can use it.